It's the men's semi-finals in Paris and 3 of the top 4 seeds are present. Here is your preview and predictions. Hi everyone, thanks for coming back and thank you for all of you who watched the last video. I'm really sorry about the late upload. Something went wrong, upload kept failing. I slept for like 2 hours last night. So we'll get straight into the semi-finals then, starting with Andy Murray, the top seed, against Stan Wawrinka, the 3rd seed. Scheduled on first, which is weird because they're the top half of the draw and they have been playing second. So I'm not quite sure of the logic there. I just have to be straight out and honest here. Stan Wawrinka and Andy Murray met in the semi-finals of the French Open last year and it was painful to watch. Wawrinka was the defending champion. Murray was in the best clay court form of his career, so it should have made for a good clash, but Wawrinka just turned up and wasn't interested. The guy is either hot or cold, and he was absolutely cold that day. Just wasn't seeming bothered at all. Murray won in 4 sets, and the only reason he dropped a set is because he kind of crumbled mentally. Wawrinka didn't really step it up, and I just remember that as quite a gloomy match, really. So Wawrinka has a lot to make up for, and he is the semi-finalist I've watched least of, but reports say he's very hungry, he's looking very good, and he is one of 3 semi-finalists yet to drop a set in Paris. He came past Marin Cilic, the number 7 seed, in the quarterfinals. Now Cilic, you probably haven't heard much of him during the tournament. He usually passes through under the radar, if indeed he doesn't get knocked out early on, but Cilic was doing really well. He himself did not drop a set for a number of rounds, and Wawrinka pretty much destroyed him. He won only dropping the 7 games. So that tells you that Wawrinka is looking pretty good, but this is Wawrinka. He can be hot, he can be cold, he can be erratic, he can be fantastic, his backhand can strike true, it can be wayward, and you just never know the Wawrinka you're going to get. And he is really hard for me to analyse because he can play all the good matches he's just played, and he can come out against Murray on Friday and completely just be flat. So it really all depends about how much Wawrinka wants this. He leads his head-to-head with Murray 2-1 on clay, but both his wins came before Murray found his feet on the surface. Before I get too down on Wawrinka, I have heard good reviews of him. People say he looks focused, and because of his changing results, it's easy to forget that he has actually had consistent good results in Paris over the past 3 years. So we're semi-finals and counting this year. Last year he made the semis, and the year before he was the champion, completely upsetting Djokovic out of the blue in that final. So it would be wrong of me to completely write Wawrinka off and say, oh, he's going to come out and just not care on Friday, because he's the number 3 seed, he's one of the top players in the world, and he wouldn't be ranked there if he wasn't coming out and giving good performances. And a positive thing about Wawrinka's unpredictable form is that he doesn't really need to worry about not having been challenged, because for some players you kind of get the thoughts of, oh, they haven't been tested enough, so they're going to buckle when they come to a big battle. But Wawrinka has it all in him, and it's just up to him whether he wants to bring it out. So no, it doesn't really matter, in my opinion, that he hasn't really been pushed so far this fortnight. Murray, meanwhile, has been allowed to gain some confidence. He did not come into the tournament in good form at all. He had racked up several losses on the dirt and on hard courts beforehand that people found quite a shock, given he's the world number 1 at present. He came in and he did have a good looking draw, and someone mentioned in the comments actually on the last video that Murray was kind of unfairly written off coming into this tournament. I do understand why people wrote him off. He was in no French Open winning form. However, this is Murray, and he does tend to get the softer draws at majors these days, and he is a player who still has the name and the ranking to intimidate his opponents even when his game isn't top notch. If you looked at his draw, the path that he has taken, it doesn't actually look so easy. You had Andrei Kuznetsov, Martin Klizan, big hitters capable of upsets, Juan Martín del Potro, Grand Slam champion, really big hitter, and then Kei Nishikori in the quarterfinals. But all of these players had a stage in the match where they had Murray on the ropes, they were dictating play, they were looking confident, and with more than a couple of them, they just didn't have the belief or the willpower to keep going. And so Murray was allowed to get back into those matches. He was allowed to play quite a bit of tennis. He has dropped sets in every single match but one here in Paris. Yeah, Murray can really thank some of his opponents for giving him the confidence that he now has that could see him into another French Open final. Thanks to being able to play more tennis, being able to pick up these wins, his defense has become more solid, he's feeling the course a lot better, he's finding his marks, and he does now look dangerous again. Back to the head-to-head, Murray leads this rivalry by 10 wins to 7, which isn't that big a margin. It's quite a number of wins to have over Murray with 7 for Wawrinka. When it comes to matches like this, I think that when both players have so many wins over each other, it really shows that the match could go anyway, and so the head-to-head isn't going to tell us much. Murray has won their last 2 meetings. Wawrinka had opportunities in both of them and just didn't take them. So my instinct here is definitely to go with the win for Murray. I would say 4 or 5 sets, but I have to pick one, so I'll say Murray in 4 sets, because I think if it went to 5, then maybe Wawrinka would edge it. I know that Wawrinka has the killer game to knock aside Murray's defence and really take it to him. I just don't know if he will, and honestly I haven't seen enough of him to truly assess whether he has that focus to bring it through. So I'm going to take the safer, I think, option and go with Murray, but a Wawrinka upset would not surprise me. As I say with pretty much every prediction, I don't know why I do these, but there you go. Moving swiftly on to the second semi-final, number 4 seed Rafael Nadal against number 6 seed Dominic Thiem. I've called them this clay court season the King of Clay and the Prince of Clay, and I'm sure you can work out which way around that goes. Both men have looked impressive at this tournament, neither of them has dropped a set yet. However, they have had differing paths. Nadal, you could say, has not really faced anyone of any real threat, but then again he is a 9-time champion at this event, so who is going to be a threat in the early rounds? He's had some knockout wins, such as his 6-love, 6-1, 6-love defeat of Basilashvili, made light work of Benoit Paire, who was recently seeded at Slams in the first round, and in his quarter-final match he came through against number 20 seed Pablo Carreño Busta. However, he got through via retirement after Carreño Busta retired at down a set and a break. I'm wondering if that might actually end up to be detrimental to Nadal. I'm sure immediately people would say, oh, it's beneficial, he gets more rest, etc. But seeing as he hasn't dropped a set yet this tournament, Nadal hasn't had as much match play as some other players. He has not been pushed, he has not been tested. His uncle, Tony, expressed surprise at how smoothly they have progressed, and he did mention about when it gets to the pressure moments, then maybe it's going to be more of a panicky situation because he hasn't been there so far. But we know the mentality Nadal has got, so this might not be an issue at all, but it's something to think about. Because Dominic Thiem is a man who could definitely push him, as we saw when he defeated him in Rome, which is something we'll come to shortly. Thiem's run has been really good, he's been really focused, he's been going for those big shots that he loves so much. And obviously his win over Novak Djokovic in the quarterfinals was pretty incredible, given that he has been thrashed both the last times he played Djokovic on clay, which was Rome a few weeks ago, and here at the French Open in the semi-finals last season. Now, there is talk that Djokovic completely gave up in the final 6-love third set, which is strange, as is much with Djokovic at the moment. He continues to struggle to take 2 steps forward and 1 step back. It's something that he's aware of and something that he's working on. But the real player to examine here is Thiem, who faced set points on serve in the first set and nervously went for his shots to save them. He was not the most consistent player in that first set with Djokovic, however he was the most consistent player in the tie-break, and that was the pressure moment, and that was where the set was won. And Djokovic himself said after the match, who knows what would have happened if he had got that first set. It was highly significant. Afterwards, Thiem was calm, he was completely dialed in, and the straight sets win almost came easy after that first set tussle. That naturally is going to give him a lot of confidence, as is his recent win in Rome over Nadal. That 6-4, 6-3 result in the quarterfinals was not to do with Nadal playing poorly, although Nadal did not play his best tennis. It was completely to do with Thiem, after facing him 3 times on clay this season, on the 3rd try, finally figuring out what to do to combat the high top spinning forehands and the relentless defence, and the incredible shots that Nadal comes up with on the dirt. It was stunning to watch. Thiem was cracking down on the balls from the top of the bounce, going for his shots from the return to the serve to even neutral balls in rallies. If he saw half a chance on them, he was on it, pushing Nadal back. Even Nadal's great scrambling skills just were not enough to see him through on that day. Now, it's worth remembering that the two had met in 2 finals in the weeks before Rome, and Nadal had won both of them in straight sets, the first quite comprehensively. It had taken Thiem a few tries of facing the Spaniard in order to come up with a game plan that would defeat him. So there will be those of you who think, fine, he's figured it out, he can do it again, but there are things to consider. That was best of 3 sets, this is best of 5 sets, and after Rome I remember saying that if the two of them were to face in Paris, which they're now going to, I would back Nadal because I didn't think that Thiem would have been able to sustain that intensity and that precision over best of 5 sets. Even in Rome I would have taken Nadal to get the win if he had somehow edged out that second set, because I think it would just have jolted Thiem's rhythm and messed with his mind. Nadal is known for his endurance, he's known for his comeback ability, he's done it on hard courts already this season, so how much more can he do it on clay, which is his favourite surface, his most successful hunting ground. Thiem has never made it past the semis here. Nadal is obviously a 9-time champion. He knows what it takes to come through even from the brink of defeat. He will also be ready for what Thiem is going to throw at him. I would think that even with the conditions a little slower here, another thing which, if it really is that different to Rome, will help Nadal. I think that Thiem will still probably bring the same game plan as against Djokovic. He said he was not really going to change up the game plan that much, he was just going to try and be more consistent, cut down on the unforced errors, which he managed after the first set. So I would expect him to bring a similarly aggressive game to face Nadal. Tony Nadal said recently that he felt Thiem hits a harder ball than Nadal, but Rafa probably has a bit more skill than him, so expect Nadal to use that, perhaps to draw Thiem into the court and then push him back again, putting him on the back foot and balancing him. So Nadal leads the head-to-head 4-2. All the matches came on clay. Obviously the most important to remember are the ones that took place this year, which really shows where the two are at in current form. However, it is interesting to note that their first clash came here at the French Open in 2014, and Nadal came through that one 6-2, 6-2, 6-3. Now it's a very different Dominic Thiem here, and it's Nadal coming back to his best form, so it's hard to go on that, but it may say something about the conditions. Before the tournament, I predicted Rafael Nadal to win. I'm going to stick with that prediction, that he will take the whole tournament, and therefore predict him to get past Thiem. However, I am less certain of him coming through, given the situation, given Thiem's confidence, given Nadal's draw so far. So I'm going to say Nadal in 4 or 5 sets. I can't pick which. I'll go with Nadal in... My gut is saying 4, my head is saying 5. We'll be kind to Dominic Thiem and give it to Nadal in 5 sets. And after doing all of this, I got a lot of comments telling me that it's not pronounced Thiem, it's pronounced Thiem, which obviously I know all the Brits pronounce it that way, and most people do pronounce it that way. I heard a different pronunciation from the man himself, so that was why I went for another one. If it keeps you happy and doesn't annoy you, I will happily call him Dominic Thiem, but it's worth remembering that there's no I in Thiem. Hope you get that one. So yes, Nadal to beat Thiem in 5 sets. Anyway, once again, that was way longer than I intended it to be. Thank you for watching anyway. Please like if you enjoyed, subscribe, share the video with others. I probably won't be doing video preview and predictions for the finals, I'm afraid, because it is a lot of work and I haven't slept much and I have a busy month coming up. But if I don't, I will probably be putting stuff up on my website instead. So thanks again for watching. Let me know who you think is going to win these semi-finals. And yes, please predict numbers of sets as well, because I am putting my pride on the line and making myself predict number of sets. And so far, since doing the videos this week, I've only got 1 correct. Thank you, Yelena Ostapenko. So I want number of sets as well as the person who's going to win, please and thank you. Okay guys, enjoy the tennis and I will see you next time.